today's video, we're going to be going over the simplest Bitcoin trading strategy that you could possibly have ever in your life, ever. It requires 2 indicators. However, if you do watch this video, you can literally just play it out as we go over it. If you do have access to these indicators, however, you can automate it and you can probably even do some other cool stuff with it as well. But in today's video, I just want to present this as simple as possible, just the most egregiously silly strategy for Bitcoin that, over history has proven to work. The tools that we're going to be using are the Crown Quant automation tool right here, and of course the historical price action statistics indicator right here, which actually recently came out, which gives you a full breakdown of daily statistics. So these are the results for actually the past couple of years in the equity curve. We can actually do a full-on test of the full history of Bitcoin. We'll actually do that at the end of this video, but the test, or sorry, I should say like the long-term test is equally as good. Just proves that it works, since the dawn of history, which is rather interesting to me. We'll talk about theory on that maybe later, but let's just get into the very essence of this strategy. So I'll show you how I came up with it first, which is using the historical price action statistic indicator. And this indicator gives us data on the statistics per day, what we expect for Bitcoin in terms of whether it's likely to close positively, negatively, and the average return for that. Now, if we go more granular into this data, we can actually break this down by hour. But what I want to highlight here is that very clearly Monday is outsized in terms of more likely to close positively at 66.6% of all Mondays since 2024 began have closed positively. And Tuesday, by contrast, is almost the equal but opposite, with almost 63% of all Tuesdays closing negatively from open to closure. So that gave me the initial idea for this. Basically, hey, what if we just open on Monday and close on Tuesday? Well, could that work? Maybe yes. And I did test that out and it actually did work, but we could certainly optimize that. When we go in here on the historical price action statistics indicator and we start to break this data down by hour, we can find a better analysis of where these flows, or sorry, when these flows are coming in. You can see right here on Monday from 3 to 4, 3 to 4, and this is UTC, by the way, zeros are whatever like the regular time is, UTC, 3 to 4, that is when Bitcoin typically gets a very, 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 very high probability of a positive closure on that hourly basis. At almost 78% of all hourlies on that time closing positively from 3 to 4, with an average gain of almost 0.5%, which for 1 hour is it's kind of a lot, especially when you average this out over, a significant amount of history for Bitcoin. So what I did with this is I basically opened around then, and then for Tuesday, I went in over here and looked at Tuesday and found that on Tuesday around about 10 a.m. is when we start to see the selling come in. So from there, I just ran with that idea. I put it into action with a free indicator right here, the weekday signal, which allowed me to actually plot and get usable signals to implement into the skeleton key here, which gave us these results. And over the past couple of years, going back to 2022, this would be the equity curve for literally just doing that. Pretty simple. Not super powerful, not super amazing, but good enough. As you can see, it was profitable over time with almost 52% of all trades closing positively. But because the profit factor was over 1.4, it does give some nice curvature over time. But we can take that several steps further. Actually, we can go over here into the deep backtesting feature, and I can plot, or not plot, but I can backtest this idea going all the way to 2010, actually 2010 for the literal first day of trading ever on Bitcoin as far as TradingView is concerned, to the current day. In fact, actually, if we go to the current day, we could redo this because there are 7 more days. I don't know why I just did for June 30th. For whatever reason, TradingView doesn't update it to the current day automatically, which is really fucking annoying sometimes, but shouldn't make a humongous amount of difference here. But as you can see, if once we get this populated, the strike rate for the full history of Bitcoin is going to be very, very similar, even to the last couple of years. So it is very interesting to me that these flows have essentially been the name of the game since the dawn of time for Bitcoin. Why is that? I mean, I can come up with all sorts of weird theories, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. And you can see that, over the full history of Bitcoin, 52.5% of the time did close positively from those two opening and closing times. And again, profit factor pretty much the exact same here at 1.42. Not bad. So over time, just playing that out. Very, very good results. Now, I'm sure that there's going to be some genius in the comment section who's like, hey, what the fuck? You could have just held Bitcoin and get all sorts of gains in the last 14 years. And you're like, yes, obviously, yes. And in this case, it would have returned about 336%. Okay, well, there's actually something very enlightening about this is that, well, in most exchanges, you can trade what's called the inverse perpetuals. Inverse perpetuals contracts allow you to use the underlying as collateral to put on margin trades, meaning that you get to hold Bitcoin and use that Bitcoin in order to put on your trades, meaning that you are one, holding, and two, getting the benefit of actually trading this as well. So you'd have had almost 350% better, 350% better than just holding over time, which I don't know, not bad at all, at least in my opinion. But yeah, especially for an asset that goes up, 10,000s of percents, or maybe even 100,000% over the full history of time. I mean, it's fucking crazy. So very hard to outpace that. But in this case, it does do that. And well, I think that's really all that I need to leave off right here. Open Monday, close Tuesday around 10 a.m. UTC, somewhere around there. It's probably better. But yeah, just a very, very simplistic strategy, something that anyone can do, assuming that you're, just awake at that time. And of course, you can use the Crown Quant automation service over here to automate this on your behalf if you just don't want to do that, or you just don't trust yourself or whatever. And you can probably, or you certainly can further optimize this over time as well. How would you do that? Well, I mean, there's several things that you could go into in the skeleton key, like set conditions to only play this out when there's like a macro uptrend, for example, that could perhaps increase the results. But just in its base format, it was very interesting to me to see this. Since this is like a very, very quick video, I guess I could talk a little bit about theory here. So what was most interesting to me is that the results for the past couple of years, or what I kind of consider the modern era for Bitcoin, are basically the exact same results as what we do have for the full history of Bitcoin. And obviously, in more recent years, there have been, a lot of new phases, a lot of new players coming to this game, especially since 2018, right? CME futures launched, meaning that more traditional players had easier access into this asset. And what does that mean? Well, that means that we would have expected, the general sort of market movers to have changed, but it seems that the flows have been consistent over time, meaning that, probably a lot of these bigger players have been here for a lot longer than was publicly announced. And I'm sure that there's a lot of conspiracy theorists in the background, saying, duh. And yeah, duh. I mean, that is true. I mean, that we did kind of know that, at least from my own past. Like I remember in 2018, I was talking with probably like a mid-tier, I guess he was like an engineer at one of these quant firms, and they were getting into Bitcoin. I mean, this was just like a mid-tier firm in Chicago. So, I knew that it was going back, as far as then, but to know that it was going back all the way to 2010, and that's been consistent the whole way. I mean, that is like actually very, very enlightening. So yeah. I don't know. Maybe it is a CIA. Maybe it is the Shadow Lizard Council, and they like to buy on Monday for whatever reason. But yeah, keep that in mind. Again, very, very simple strategy here. Opening on Monday, closing on Tuesday at 10 a.m. UTC. We'll shut off the video right there. Super, super simple. Again, you can play it out by hand if you desire, or you can use the tools in the description below. And with all of that said, I want to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully next time.